All right, are you ready for the next thing here that we're going to talk about? The next key to achieving your best level of health possible is, well, we're going to call it fuel, okay? Most people would talk about your diet or the food that you eat, but I think it's more encompassing than that. So we're going to go ahead and call it fuel. And we want to talk about how you fuel your body, okay? Now, what's interesting about this was I was reading a study the other day, and what it was actually saying was that the people that you hang around with is just as important as far as your health is concerned as the food that you eat. Now, isn't that interesting? Although, I mean, I think if we think about it, you can agree that that's probably the truth. The people that influence us in our lives makes a huge difference in how healthy we are. It's important to have that social interaction and to be with people who inspire you and build you up rather than tear you down, right? So I can see how that happens. But what we want to start talking about here when we actually talk about food and diet and that sort of thing is the first thing I want to address is water. Okay, water is a huge part of this. It's very important. In fact, they have estimated that 95% of all illnesses or health problems can either be made worse or they're actually caused by dehydration. And I read somewhere one time, I don't even remember where I read this from. This was back when I was in school, which was a long time ago, by the way. And there was actually a doctor, and when he would treat his patients, the only thing that he did was had them increase their water intake, and most of his patients would actually get better. So increasing your water intake is really, really important. You know, the general rule of thumb is you want to be getting at least 8 to 10 glasses of water a day, and a glass is usually equivalent to a cup. Some studies now are saying that we need even more than that. Okay, a lot of people fear that they're going to get too much water. You know, it's very unlikely that you're going to do that. So increase your water, and that alone is going to make a big difference as far as your health is concerned. Now, a lot of people ask me, this comes up all the time, well, what if I drink coffee? Or what if I drink tea or pop or beer? You know, some people even like to drink their beer, right? I don't blame you. But, you know, when it comes to those things, those don't count. You have to have actually real water in your diet on a regular basis. A lot of those things contain caffeine and other chemicals, and those can make you unhealthy also. The caffeine will actually make your body lose more water, so you dehydrate a little bit more easily if you drink that too much, okay? So we want real water. The other thing that you want to think about is how clean your water is. You know, tap water these days, they put chemicals in there. They put chlorine in there, fluoride, all kinds of stuff. And of course, the intention of that is to kill off any bacteria or things that are unhealthy for us. But those chemicals can actually cause a lot of damage. In fact, there's research these days that says that fluoride, if you get too much fluoride in your diet, that can actually cause different types of cancers. So you want to make sure that you're drinking a good filtered water, so that you're getting rid of all those chemicals, the bacteria, the viruses, all that stuff that could possibly live in there, in addition to the chemicals, so that you're drinking a much healthier form of water for you, okay? There's also a lot of people that use shower, on their shower heads, they'll put filters on there also, because they say that it's good for the skin and for the hair also if you get rid of those same chemicals. So that might be another thing that you may want to consider. And if you're looking for something like that, I have one that I bought on Amazon. Health food stores typically carry those. So those shower filters are actually really good, and I think you'll see a difference with your skin and with your hair and how healthy they are and how they look if you utilize that. Now, when it comes to food, which is my favorite topic to talk about, by the way, I'll tell you what, I love food. I can't deny it. This is my one area where I get a little bit weak sometimes. But if you're looking at your diet, what you want to look at is there's no such thing as an all or none. It's okay if you enjoy yourself occasionally, but it just can't be the regular daily routine that you have as far as your eating is concerned. Your typical diet should be mostly things that are very close to being alive, okay? So we want lots of fruits and vegetables. We want some protein in there, some meats, beans, that sort of thing. That should be the majority of your diet, okay? One thing that I thought about that I thought was interesting was that when you take dead food, all right, so like processed food, things that have chemicals in it, all that type of stuff that we find at the grocery store sometimes, when you take dead food and you put it into the living body, you just put a little bit of death inside of your living body. And I don't know, that doesn't sound right to me, right? It doesn't sound very healthy. So just be careful as far as those extra things that you add into your diet that aren't close to what nature actually created. You know, it's the difference between God-made food and man-made food, right? The man-made food, it sounds smart, we think we're smart when we create these things, but they're not always healthy for us, so you have to be very careful with that, okay? Now there's actually in this category, there's three major health destroyers that we want to talk about here real briefly. We talked about fluoride in the water, okay, and how dangerous that can actually be for a person. That's a major health destroyer. The next one is milk from a cow. And I realize this is very controversial, but if you're the type of person who gets a lot of sinus congestion, has allergies, gets asthma symptoms, that sort of thing, you've got to think about eliminating the cow's milk because it produces a lot of mucus in the body. And that mucus creates inflammation, and that can lead to all kinds of different diseases and health problems for a person. So that's one thing you may want to consider getting rid of. There's lots of alternatives. There's almond milk, there's rice milk. All types of things are available to you that taste just as good, and there's other sources of calcium that you can get in your diet besides from the milk. So don't worry about getting rid of it. You can easily replace the benefits that you think you're getting from the milk with other types of food. And then the final thing that's a major health destroyer these days is artificial sweeteners. We're seeing a lot about that. There's a high link to cancers and heart disease with the artificial sweeteners. One thing that I have found that I really, really like, if you're looking to kind of avoid the sugars in your diet, which I think is a very good idea, by the way, in general, stevia is a good substitute. And I've actually found at the health food store they have liquid stevia, and they're flavored. And I'm a tea drinker. For me, I enjoy my iced tea. I don't drink it often, but when I do have something besides water, it's probably going to be tea. And I'll use that, the liquid stevia, in there because it blends right in. It doesn't stay granular like sugar does sometimes when you mix it in there, and they're flavored, so you can do all kinds of things with it and make all kinds of flavored teas out of it. So that's something that you may want to look for at your health food store, or even on Amazon. You'd probably find that as well. Okay, all right, well, I think that's enough talk about fuel for now. I'm going to go ahead and end this video. On the next video, we're going to be talking about rest, which is a very important topic, so I'll see you on that next video.